Good morning, good morning, good morning, AP Euro students. Just 1 minute, let me shut the door so that I don't make my wife crazy. One moment, please. And we are back. We are back. Thank you all for viewing. And so I'm thinking that probably you all have, who are viewing this, at least have taken the time to see the 3 emails that I sent you. The one last night that I sent you rather late, basically telling you that this is my channel, and this channel that I'm now on will be the channel that I'll be on for the remainder of the year, because, well, I mean, for the remainder of however long this process goes on. I'll let the principal, Mr. Turner, tell you about what he talked to us about yesterday, the prognosis for our returning back to school on April the 20th is, but I mean, you guys are 16 and smart. If you watch any segment of the news and you look at target dates, you look at dates when this event is supposed to be peaking, then I would think that you can draw your own conclusions. Now, what did you mean by that, Mr. Horton? Well, that's something that you have to look up for on your own accord. But yes, okay, so I mean, the bottom line is, guys, and I tell you this every day, please stay safe. Please do not intentionally do things that will put you at risk for picking up this virus. And, yes, of course, it is a virus to which none of us have immunity. And it is a virus that, since you're young and strong and probably the most fit you're ever going to be in your entire life, there's a good chance that, once again, it'll just make you feel really bad. But as a carrier of that virus, you could really, you could do some harm to someone you really care about. And so, use good judgment, stay away. And I'm sorry, and as an adult who's lived a long adult life of 63 years, who had a normal high school experience, I apologize to you for not getting to enjoy your spring sports right now, not getting to hang out with your friends as much as you'd like to right now. Those sorts of inconveniences. But this is something we've all got to weather together and to get through it. And so, enough of that stuff. All right. So, yes, the first email told you about this new channel that I'll be broadcasting from. The second email, yes, the second email talked about, was a short video about the Great Depression, which we'll talk a little bit about today. And the third email was, of course, talking about where this course is going. Tomorrow's the big day in AP Euro. And I don't mean the test, of course. Tomorrow's the big day in that the College Board will finally reveal to the rest of us what they are going to do regarding the AP exam and when they are going to do it. I have no say in this matter. I'm just sitting around waiting for them to make a decision as much as you are. Just like the AP exam is going to be taken remotely, it will also be graded remotely from homes. There won't be a meeting in Kansas City. There won't be a gathering of people this year for a reading. To be honest, I really haven't decided whether or not I want to do that. I mean, it's one thing to, and I gotta admit, I liked going to Kansas City and hanging out with a bunch of other history nerds, and getting paid my flight out there and back, getting put up in a nice hotel, and um, and being there. And I mean, the food they served us was institutional food, although, you know, what do you mean by that? Well, I mean, it was potatoes every day, but also, I mean, it's the type of food that you would find when some company is trying to cater something like 2,000 people 3 meals a day. And so that's what it was, and so was it a five-star restaurant? No. Was it just awful? No, not really. I mean, it was okay. Um, and so, yeah, I didn't mind that, but I'm not sure that I could sit in front of this computer for 7 days straight for 8 hours a day and just read LEQs or SEQs and over again. It's just too easy to look out the window. It's too easy to get up and go do something. I don't know that I have that much focus, in me. It's different if you are sitting in a big, and because they put us in those big convention rooms. I mean, these rooms that we're in could house 2 football fields side by side. It's a big open space, and then they just have curtains, drawn across it, separating the people who are reading. And we're in one giant room, and AP Physics, those nerds, are in another giant room, and they're grading and reading at the same time. And then those whiners from World History, or AP World, are in another room when they're not whining about the fact that we're in Kansas City now. We were in Salt Lake City. Anyway, and so, yeah, we'll see tomorrow what the College Board decides to come on down with. And I still, though, believe that, I mean, if you've paid your money already and you look at it, 45 minutes for a chance at 3 to 6 hours of college credit. I mean, whereas the normal situation is that normal test is grueling. It is physically exhausting. Yeah. So we'll see. We will see. Yes, and the other YouTube video, of course, was about was the SNL skit, Black Jeopardy, which my favorite part of that whole thing is when Darnell, who is the MC, is so impressed with the Tom Hanks character, Doug, that he wants to go shake his hand. And Doug, sitting there in the red MAGA hat, and you can tell that he's a working class guy. When Darnell comes to shake his hand, Doug gets all, like that. And you have to keep watching. I've seen this skit a million times and I still love it. Then you keep watching as Darnell returns to his podium, that Doug is like sitting there like this, like, he can't believe that a person of color actually came up to him, and so, I mean, it's a well done skit. Tom Hanks will go down as one of the great actors of these 2 centuries, the 20th and the 21st centuries. I mean, I remember in the 1980s when Tom Hanks was on a terrible sitcom on ABC called Bosom Buddies, where him and a guy, I think his name was Peter Solaris, to get a room in a place where there was a shortage of rooms, had to pose as females to live in a female segregated housing project. And it was fluff. And then he did a lot of fluff comedies in the 80s. But then he began to take on some really good, serious acting. I mean, remember, Tom Hanks is Captain Miller in Saving Private Ryan with your favorite toy and mine, his Thompson submachine gun. He's Forrest Gump. He is, if you ever, his big serious acting break, though, came in the latter part of the 1980s, a film called Philadelphia, which he starred with Denzel Washington. In Philadelphia, Tom Hanks plays a young man, a young lawyer who is stricken with AIDS, and because he has AIDS, his law firm fires him, and he sues them in court. And it's a great film. He's also, and I can't remember the character's name, he is the FedEx employee that gets marooned on an island in Castaway. And for that role, think about this, for that role, Tom Hanks had to first beef up. I mean, he really got, for Tom Hanks, kind of portly. And then during the course of shooting it, he had to not only lose all that weight, he had to lose extra weight so that he would look like a man who had been living on a deserted island, eating nothing but fish and coconuts and crab for, several years. And so, yeah, I mean, Tom Hanks is very, very, he's acting genius. And I've spent enough time, look, 12 minutes are gone in my presentation. Well, let's talk a little bit about the test. Don't want to give away the farm here, unless Mr. Myers just wants the farm. Now, what did I do with that? That's not it. That's not it. Oh, that's definitely not it. Yes, there it is. One day I'm going to get one of my teacher friends to show you all show me how to do other things besides these multiple choice, true false type tests and matching type tests. Because, like I said in the email, received a directive yesterday from Mr. Turner that, we're going to have to come up with ways to assess your learning. And so, yes, but let's talk a few minutes, a couple of minutes about what this test is going to look like. There are, the parameters are the same, 35 minutes. You have 60 questions, 26 multiple choice questions, of course. And then the rest are all multiple choice questions, strong dose of the take-home test of that era. Yeah. And, the thing about Canvas is that one of the things it tells me is how quickly some of you guys take this test. And the times are truly incredible. Test of 60 questions. Some of you are finishing in really rapid times. Really rapid. But, we'll see. I mean, goodness, I wouldn't want to, the obvious solution would be for me to shorten that time parameter. And then that would punish a lot of people who probably don't deserve to be punished. So it will remain at 35 minutes for these 60 questions. Okay. And so let's think about some of the terms. For example, Mr. Lynn mentioned the other day my reference to the Easter Rising, the Easter Uprising of 1916. And yeah, I know this about the 1920s, but the Easter Rising is also included in this because it was the thing that can be attributed to Ireland finally in 1922 gaining its independence. Not because that uprising, that planned revolt, was successful on the part of the Irish, but because the British actually overwhelmed the Irish and surrounded them in Il Posto. Il Posto is this post office. It's a post office. It's a giant post office about the size of the state capitol building in Frankfurt, if you've ever been there. And the IRA, the Irish Republican Army, had basically holed up in there. They were, the British Army had surrounded them, cut them off, and were shelling them. And so they surrendered, and the leaders of the Irish uprising, the Easter Rising, were surrendered, and they were taken a few streets away, and were shot right there. That incident, not because it was a military victory. In fact, of course, it was like the Irish called it their Alamo of the 1916 rebellion. That incident, though, where the leaders were just taken out and shot without due process, without a trial, actually galvanized the people of Ireland against British rule. And in 1922, Ireland, except for the northern 6 counties, became the Republic of Ireland, independent of the United Kingdom. The northern part of Ireland still remained and still remains part of the United Kingdom. Yes, little things like, yes, let's remember our shirt colors, the black shirts and the brown shirts. I think that's all I need to say about that. Ernst Ruhn, R-U-H-N, or it's also spelled R-O-H-M, Rohm, was critical in one of those organizations. See, Adolf Hitler, when he was trying to make the Nazi Party into a viable entity in German politics. Remember that, the Nazi Party was this tiny little kooky minority when it began in the 1920s with, this young World War I veteran, Adolf Hitler, because once again of his mannerisms and things like that. He acceded to the leadership of, and I can also really emphasize the importance of radio communication during this time. And Hitler, though, and the Nazi Party had kind of joined forces because they had similar goals with the brown shirts led by Ernst Ruhn. And the problem was with the brown shirts, though, they were just thugs. I mean, they were uncontrollable, and it would be like the, say, for example, the political party in this country are Republicans. It would be like the Republican Party joining forces with the remnants of the KKK, the Ku Klux Klan, and the Klan, going out and, committing its acts of terrorism that they used to like to do in the 1920s, 30s, 40s, and 50s. and the Republican Party joining up with them, and then deciding, these people are giving us a bad name, and that's what Hitler thought. These brown shirts with Ernst Ruin at the leadership was making the Nazis look bad. And so they wanted the Nazis desired the muscle of the brown shirts, but they wanted them to be a dog that they had put a leash on. And so it was called the Night of Long Knives, where Adolf Hitler had Heinrich Himmler and some of their more trusted members of the Nazi Party to go out covertly and to find Ernst Ruin, find the rest of the brown shirt leadership, and they were murdered. And therefore the brown shirts were left without a leader, and Adolf Hitler said, now you guys will do what we say. And the brown shirts became some of the most loyal and fanatical of the Nazi Party, but they were now directed by Adolf Hitler. Oh yeah. Miss Minning has already circled the Corfu Agreement, worth circling. A lot of German words, Kapputsch, which was an insurrection, an attempt to take over the Weimar Republic in a coup. The SA, or Sturmabteilung, Sturmabteilung. Yes, der Anschluss. Yes. Yes. Lebensraum. Lebensraum, an idea that Adolf Hitler first introduced the term. He basically, Leben means live, Raum means space. It's an idea he puts forward in his book Mein Kampf, where if you're going to have this superior race, then this superior race that's going to dominate the globe, and that was his intent. I wish that's one of the things. That 1928 book that he wrote that was never published. He talked about once Europe is solidly under Nazi control, the rest of the world. In fact, he made that in some of his speeches. I just didn't know that the rest of the world, he included the North America as well. But yeah, back to Lebensraum, that this Aryan race, this superior race, need a place to live. A place to live that would have wheat for bread, petroleum for energy, and that Lebensraum referred to the plains, the farm. Poland is, and the Ukraine and the eastern part, the western part of Russia, actually pretty good farmland. And that was what he was talking about. That was where the Aryan peoples would move and migrate into. And of course, the peoples who live there, they'd have to move somewhere else. Yeah. Or get killed. And it really didn't matter which. Because Hitler looked upon Slavs, Poles, Russians, Ukrainians, as Untermenschen. Untermenschen, yes. Subhumans. Yeah. Yeah. Pravda, which is Russian, literally means the truth. Italian, Il Popolo d'Italia, the people of Italy. Anyway, I think I've given you enough. I'm not going to give you the farm. For the rest, you hopefully have been paying attention to my YouTube lectures, that you can manage to get through that on your own. Right, Mr. Lynn? I would think so. At any rate, let's see. So yes, tomorrow's test, once again, from 7 in the morning until 11:59 tomorrow night. You have 35 minutes. Please tell your parents that, if you have trouble with Wi-Fi, you need this 35 minutes tomorrow for the test. And, the clock runs on you. I don't want to hear any stories about, well, my little brother wanted to play Fortnite, not you, Mr. Irvin, but your little brother. My little brother wanted to play Fortnite, and because of that, I had a weak signal, and I got interfered with. I mean, tell little brother he can play Fortnite during spring break, and because you have to take this test. So take that, and also, I'm really still learning this whole online learning thing. For example, transferring grades. Do look for your grades in Infinite Campus to make sure that your scores arrive properly. And if you find some question that you have, please email me. Yes. Okay. And I'm going to sign off now. 25 minutes is okay. And we will pick up tomorrow. Okay. Little Entente all the way. Did I say that? Yes. Have a good day, guys.